Well, people. So thanks to Amy Penner, right? We got to check out Queen of Knives. So this is the new film from Jon Delgado. It is written by Lindsay Joy and Gene Pope, right? It is produced by um, Jen Gomez and Gene Pope. It's associate produced by Kevin Bay, co-produced by Paderick Lillis, and line produced by Joseph Stevens. Sade Mustafa took care of cinematography. Maria Cataludo edits the piece. Rebecca Lagore, Liz Lewis, and Rachel Reyes were behind the casting. Lily Teplan was production design. Dorothy Senshao, set decoration. Costume design, we add Patrick St. Jean. Hair and makeup, right, we've got Aaron Warman, Jennifer Suarez, Emily Roscoe, and Daniel Cerrone. Right, so our cast. Right, he writes, he produces, he also stars. Gene Pope is Frank. We have Roxi Pope, his real daughter, Gene's actual daughter, as Frank's daughter, Catelyn. And then his other daughter, Sadie, is played by Emily Bennett. His ex-wife, Kathy, is played by Mel Harris. Right. We've also got Autumn, the love interest, played by Alexandra Renzo. There is Joanne, played by Tara Westwood. We have got Mattie, right, who is played by Carmen LoBue. So Mattie is dating Catelyn, and Joanne is dating Kathy. Right, there is Sal, played by Robert Costanzo, who is our friendly bar owner. We've got Fred, played by Robert Anthony Jones. There's Trinidad, played by Christopher Lang. Justin Sams is Sebastian. We've got Eliza, played by Molly Lloyd. Paula, played by Stephanie Rico. Jackson, played by Zebedee Rowe. Jack Russell is David. And we can't forget Barbara Tyrrell, who is Masha, right? A woman who Frank befriends. So the gist of the film is this: the Benetto family is scattered to the winds in Brooklyn, New York, and there's no predicting where they will end up. Relationships keep shifting, generations keep trying to adapt to a new world. But wait, who exactly are the adults here? Yes, it's a mix of sharp, award winning dialogue, comedy, and drama that many of us can relate to. A story that sucks you in and you're glad for it. Now, what I didn't know when I first received this was it is actually a sequel to the 2019 film King of Knives. All right. And the thing is, it's like, oh, damn, what do I do? How do I get to see King of Knives? But on the website, which is a really great thing, there is a section in the About column called What You Need to Know, right? And it lays things out. So this is what that says. The concept behind Queen of Knives and its prequel, King of Knives, is actually King of Knives came out in 2019. I think I said 17, but yes. So the context is based on my own midlife crisis, along with many of my friends and other family situations over the years. Frank Benetto is a former ad man. He was the king of marketing toilet paper. He created the mascot Sammy the Squirrel at a time when an agency's creative director was king of the roost. He drove a flashy red Maserati, but those times are gone. Frank quit his job in a peak of midlife crisis. He's now awash in booze, pot, boredom, and Tinder. His marriage is to his former wife, is dissolving over a previous tragedy. His other children, Catelyn and Sadie, are seeking out their own purpose in a world moving way too fast. Although Frank's experiences do not match mine, they most definitely reflect the baby boomer angst and the wry humor that comes from staring down the rear end of one's life. Screenwriter Lindsay Joy and I spent nearly 2 years on what was first entitled The Rot, as in the psychological gunk that accumulates in our psyches as we age. But we really needed a more engaging title. One day, Lindsay's newest draft had a new title, King of Knives. I was puzzled, but then it became perfectly clear and I smiled. It was based on a tarot card called King of Swords, but knives had a more modern ring to it. And here's the point: sometimes a midlife crisis, divorce, or quarter life crisis, COVID et al., brings on seemingly risky behavior. It's like my life is going faster and faster. Where the hell am I going? Or I haven't tried this yet. Maybe I should. The problem is, you play with knives too much, you might get hurt. Queen of Knives, it is the females of the family that are now experimenting, is very much a look in the mirror that is both dramatic and funny, with the entire Benetto family now flailing around Brooklyn in a crisis sandbox, not realizing the full consequences of their actions. So, yeah, people, that is the gist of things. Now, what actually is interesting, like it's a female focused film, but it's kind of through the eyes of Frank. Right? Frank is kind of our fulcrum here, our main window into everyone's lives, which does then give you this interesting oh god, my mind just went blank then. This interesting perspective of things, right? And especially because it's the dad, right? So it's this new kind of, it's that different look than if it was just a layman, you know? So that's kind of interesting. But we do get this look on these girls, right? You've got Catelyn, who, she's in this relationship, everything is good, but she's kind of bogged down by her childhood. And, I think the thought of acceptance due to other things, right? You've got Sadie, who is in a great position, but is kind of self-sabotaging. Kathy is now in a relationship with a woman, which that's an interesting thing, right? Because it's not a new thing, right? We've heard about it, right? And when I say we've heard about it, I'm like, there's a certain generation, the older generation, who a lot of people in their later life, it then comes out that they're really gay. But at the time when they were young, it wasn't really acceptable, right? You were kind of ostracized for that. So they entered, you know, heterosexual relationships. And it's not to say they didn't like the person they marry, but they're not, it's not the same type of love that you have for someone who you really, you know what I mean, just melt for, right? You're made for, who is your echo, as it were. It's more of a friendship love that they found themselves in. So it's just like, maybe their significant other has died, right? So then, you know, they're old and they're just like, you know what, I'm not hiding anymore. This is who I am. It's funny on Jay-Z's 444, he, talks about his mum, and his mum, eventually in later life came out and was just like, yeah, I like women, and that's something that, yeah, as I said, we've heard of, right? So it's interesting seeing that dynamic, and how Frank is dealing with that. Because, there's an ego thing, right? Thinking, wait, my ex is now gay? What does that mean? What's that say about me? Right? Everyone's going to think I made them gay. Like, whoa. People lose their minds like that, right? Which, is nonsense, but it's just one of those things we do as human beings. You know what I mean? So we see all of these different things, which is interesting. And then Frank, as mentioned, he gets drunk, he gets stoned, right? That's him dealing with life, just floating around, going for walks, going to the bar, right? Talking to Sal. And he's on Tinder, he's on all the dating apps, which is a thing, right? There's a conversation he has with, I think it's Sadie, and he's talking about the age range, and obviously his age range is ridiculous, right? He's not looking to meet people his age. It's always that, like, yeah, from, you know 18 to 30, and it's just like, wait, what? Like, you want to meet someone your kid's age? What's happening here? Which is, it's an interesting thing, because then later on in the film, he's talking to this younger lady, and he's just like, I don't know how to talk to. I'm not quite sure. And you're just like, yo, but that's who you're talking to. That's who you've been talking to. So that is a bit, yeah, that was one of the things that was a bit like, hold on, but yeah, we have these interesting things, these different dynamics in the film, which really kind of give you that full spectrum of life, right? And the different dynamics that we find ourselves in, these different scenarios, these different ways in which we sometimes we like sabotage our lives. We put these weird restrictions on ourselves for no real reason. Sometimes it's ourself, right? Going, oh, I can't do that, or I shouldn't say this, or I can't possibly, or it could be we're living in the shadow of things that we saw as kids or experienced as kids, you know? So if your parents were funny about when someone made a certain announcement, right? You might think, well, what are they thinking about me then? Or wait, they're fine with me, but why weren't they fine with this other situation? Right? What the fuck? What's happening? Like, what does this mean? So, we put these things in our path. We make things difficult for ourselves at time, you know? And it's not to say that you can just turn these things off and easily move past. Sometimes you need therapy. Sometimes it's conversations with the people that we feel have created these roadblocks. right? But we get to see all of these different dynamics. Right? Watching the film, I did kind of know where it's going, right? But I think a lot of times that's just was I watch so many different films, and because it's the life you lead, right? So it's the conversations that I have, which can give you that insight into things, right? But although I knew, I still found it compelling, right? It's still interesting. It still keeps you wondering what's happening here. Where is this possibly gonna go? Especially, we then get certain scenarios, right? There's certain things where the film does take these interesting turns where you go, oh, didn't see that. Okay, nice, interesting. And we have these different conversations. Now, some of these conversations are conversations we've seen before. And I do feel that it might have been nice if there was maybe a slight spin on some of them, but it's not to say what we have is wrong or bad. It's just, yeah, I think sometimes we we blame certain things on who we are, where we're going, right? What's happened to us. I also do think there is a responsibility that we have to take, right? There's a choice. You make a choice, right? Do I want to do this or do I want to do that? It's like, there's no opportunities. I'm just going to sell drugs. I'm just going to steal. You chose to do that rather than just continue down the road you're on, where you know you're not getting things, but let me just keep on. Let me keep on interviewing because I know something will come. I want it to come now, but it looks like it's going to take a bit longer, which is frustrating for sure for people. I know it's fucking frustrating, but it's better than doing crime, right? It's better than that kind of life. So we sometimes, you know what I mean? I feel there's a responsibility we take, and it would be nice at times if those things are in these conversations. But yeah, it also, I kind of feel it would be nice to see some of the journey a little bit more, because Sadie is a bit like, as I said, there's some self-sabotaging going on. So it would be nice to see, you know, a little bit more of that, right? A little bit more of Kathy and the decisions that went into Joanna, right? That what that was like, right? Coming to that realization, you know, a bit like with Matty and Catelyn, right? How, and we do get a bit of Matty talking about, how Caitlyn is affecting her. But yeah, there's certain relationships would be interesting to get a little bit more on. But maybe some of that is actually in King of Knives, right? That is the one thing. So I don't think you need to watch it to get really the swings of what Queen of Knives is. I wasn't kind of confused with this film. But as I said, sometimes I'm always a bit like, yo, but what's the backstory? Right? What went into this? Is why I can't pick up a comic book or a book, jump into a TV show mid, right? I need to start from the beginning. Oh, you know what I mean? Because I'm always just like, wait, they winked at that person. What was in that? Right? What happened? So that might just be a me thing here. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting film. It throws up all of these different themes around relationship, around love, acceptance, you know, how we view ourselves, right? The crutches that we use. And some of that comes out with the conversations with Masha, which is interesting. And I was glad how that situation all unfolds. That was good, So yeah, like if you like those kind of introspective films, there's something I remember watching growing up. I think it was called Kissing Jessica Stein, like something along those lines. Um, like there was it Sidewalks of Manhattan? 13 conversations about one thing. If you like those kind of films, then I feel Queen of Knives will be for you, right? Obviously, if you watch King of Knives and enjoyed that, boom, then you'll want to watch Queen of Knives, right? If you enjoy, these actors, Gene, right? Gene's what Mel Harris, what I mean? She's been killing it for years. Guy, if you enjoy their works, then you'll want to give Queen of Knives a look. And it is available, people, on all your favorite VODs statewide. I don't believe it's hit the UK yet. Hopefully, it's coming soon. But yeah, you can get it on all your favorite VODs. So, people, Queen of Knives.